Hey guys, Kay here. Today we'll be playing That Which Surrounds. Basically, it's a short visual novel about a grieving artist who calls upon a spiritual entity, which is us. We can either choose to soothe his heart or to break it. Let's begin. Content warning. Shadows dance in the darkness, flickering at the corners of your vision. The air sits stale, scented by turpentine and old canvas. The room feels cold. You feel cold. It will pass, or it's unbearably lonely. It's unbearably lonely. The chill spreads until it's a numbness. It should be a relief, but it's not. Moonlight slips in, slow and soft. It spills through a window into the blurred studio, seeping like rainwater across the tarps on the paint-splattered floor. Footsteps echo dimly. If you strain, there's music, too, but loudest is the laughter. It ebbs like a distant, frothing wave, lightly and breathily at the edge of awareness. If they're not here for me, they're unwelcome. It's nice to hear them, even at such distance. Their voices bloom unseen, filling the silence that you hover in. Before you think twice, you try smiling. You did always love parties. The heavy wooden doors creak as they swing inward. The light that stretches across the floor now is different, warm. Somebody is here. Is this a good idea? We won't be invited back if we're caught. We'll just pretend that we got lost. Two somebodies. We've never been here, right? Completely believable. Stop worrying. But their home isn't even that big. Humble beginnings, humble endings. Now, quiet down. I just want a look around. A sharp starburst of light winks from a raised hand. The thin beam of it stretches like a lifeline across the room, then sweeps aside, pointing into a corner you can't see. Look, it's all their paints. Look, this box is full of green. There's got to be 100 tubes in here. They tiptoe just out of sight. When you try to turn your head to find them, a phantom ache blossoms where your skull and your spine meet. All these paintings. Anything new? No, they're all of her. They're so much creepier when they're half finished. Shh. What? They are. Stop, I'm getting scared. Ugh, they're all missing their eyes. I guess it's true what you hear. As soon as they finish a painting, they sell it. These are all just the rejects. Wait, is that? The harsh glow slides up the wall, fluttering like a lash on your cheek. You realize you have no eyelids with which to shut it out. Oh my God. There it is. Right across from the doors. It's the portrait, isn't it? The first one? It has to be. It's got a shroud over it. Look. Oh my God. Don't touch it. Someone is getting closer. Don't touch me, get away from me. Please leave me alone. Help me, please help me. If you touch me, I will scream. Let's try the third option. It's just a portrait. God knows we've seen a dozen like this one. It's all they ever paint. Come on, aren't you curious? What's so different about this one that they don't want anyone to see it? If you're so curious, you're more than welcome to ask me directly. They gasp, and the light clatters noisily to the floor. The sound echoes. The imprint of that light pulses in your temples, and then the world lurches, and then it rights itself. In an instant, your senses are inexorably torn free, falling precipitously from orbit toward that voice, that familiar voice. Madame Vidal, we. It isn't what it looks like. We didn't touch anything. On our way to the bathroom, and here I thought my studio was the only thing on this side of the house. Oh, a wrong turn. If you'll excuse us. They bow, they scrape, they simper, and they flee. The heavy door slips shut, leaving one person inside. Through the shroud that covers you, you watch them shift on their feet and approach. It's difficult to see them. They stay perfectly still, watching or waiting until they reach up and you feel the faintest brush of a warm hand through the cloth. I'm sorry about that. They should have known better. This is why I never liked having guests. They sigh, nudging their glasses up with the knuckles of their other hand. Tiny ornaments linked to the frame sway gently at the simple motion. Something in your chest warms with each pendulous glimmer. I know you've always been so fond of them. If you had your way, they'd be spending the night just to continue the conversation. But here you are, stuck all alone. It's a waste. And they have me for a host instead. How things have changed in this house. I'd better go back. If I don't send them away, who will? Their fingers brush delicately along the fabric of your dress, and they step away. They meet your eye as they retreat. For a moment, you feel yourself leaving the wall, leaning forward, led by the hand as you push the shroud aside. But it's only another lurch, a dizzying sway of the senses. When your vision clears, you sit still, half blind, mute as ever, upon the wall. Standing at the door once more, they look fondly back, one last time. The tilt of their head is achingly familiar. You know this person. The certainty of it wells up in you like water, pressing forward, trying to escape lips that are painted smilingly shut. Good night, dear. You know who they are, but who are you? Morning announces itself with soft birdsong. Light filters slowly into the room. It's yet to reach you, but instead illuminates a path that the studio's sole occupant, besides yourself, follows. They hum quietly as they travel the room with 2 mugs in hand. Paint brushes click and slide in one as they take a cautious sip from the other. Papers rustle when they toss a handful of envelopes to a side table. A needle lands on vinyl, and soft music overlaps the sound of the world outside. I'm sorry, dear. I've had a late start today. Well, I couldn't chase everyone out, but I had hoped they would take the hint. How many times can I mention how late the hour is? My, would you look at the time? They toss their hands into the air, exasperated. Metal winks through the drapery that hides you, glinting from the crown of their head. It was my mistake for having made such fine liquor available. Shouldn't have trusted Pascal. You remember the way he shops. Only the best. Huh. They step closer. There's that certainty again, a warm and comforting glow, making your thoughts heavy. You do look well. Fabric rustles as it falls carelessly to the floor. The warm sunlight that fills the studio falls across their back as they lean to scrutinize. The shadow of their hair brushes your painted arm. Copper eyes stare quietly, framed by oval lenses. Dark half-moons smudge the skin beneath, doing little to conceal the creases of smiles long past. There's a flicker of dissatisfaction in their gaze, which is gone as soon as you recognize it. Not that I'd ever hope otherwise. It's... well... I hope you'd need me a bit more by now. The stranger tips their head down, shaking it slowly. Much of who you see now is at odds with the person from the night before. All the frosty demeanor is gone, replaced by a syrupy sort of fondness. But you're fine, as usual. Ever the stronger half. They press two fingers to their lips, reaching up to brush against your closed mouth. Then, their hand slides and falls softly away, careful not to scratch the canvas. Fleetingly, their palm goes over the back of your hand. We can press your palm to theirs. Catch their fingers in yours. Or recoil. Presumably we're his painting, so we can catch their fingers. That momentary warmth is a beacon, and in the shadow cast by their own body, you take your first breath. You feel your fingers bend farther than they should be able to. They flex backward, refitting themselves unquestioningly to the first impulse you remember having. Digits lock against their knuckles, trapping them there, pulling them closer toward you. It lasts a precious sliver of a second before they gasp and yank free. What just... Please tell me, who are you? I don't know. It's as if a film peels away, giving you air for the first time in years. A prickling static stirs in your lips as you feel your voice slip free of you. Perhaps your ears are slow to waken, or you simply don't have them. You only know they hear you because all the color drains from their face. Oh, God, you're speaking. You can speak now. No, wait. Do you know who I am? Okay, we have the option to say you are Madame Vidal, You are Carmen? You are Camille? Or we can say, I don't know. I presume this is the correct option, as Madame is not incorrect, just as Monsieur is not. You've not called me those in some time. It's... You preferred Mademoiselle, though that just confused people sometimes. But anyhow, they gently pat their hand over their chest, as if to stay their heart. I had my hopes, but I'd never have expected. Do you know what it is that I do? You paint? Or you miss me? We can say you paint, since that is a sure option. I suppose that was an obvious answer. Yes, that is correct. I'm a painter. Everyone else calls me an artist. You did too. But it always feels so strange. It makes one feel like some kind of auteur, doesn't it? I can't believe I'm hearing your voice again. Is it you? Are you her? We can either say, yes, it's me, or no, I couldn't be her. We're not certain who we are, so let's go with this option. The space between their brows furrows then, as they tilt their head. No, it must be you, my dear. Are you being kind? You always were so eager to speak to strangers about anything, at any time. And I understand if you need a moment to see me as something other than strange. What happened? What's going on? I'm so sorry. You're frightened. Of course you are. You're Camille. And you are my most cherished work. They fiddle with the hem of their sleeve, nails picking at a loose thread, narrow shoulders slump as an unspoken tension bleeds reluctantly from their body. If you've just awoken, well, anyone would be disoriented naturally. I hoped you wouldn't be missing quite so much. That's not to say it's your fault, of course. I can't understand, but I can empathize. I must be patient. We must be patient. I'm rambling. I always did, so often in front of you, and they wring their hands, gripping tightly until they stop shaking. Short, dull nails dig into dry skin before they abruptly relax. Just a moment. I think I might have a way to help clear some things up for you. They step aside. You turn your head instinctively to follow, and once more, the canvas holds you in place, preventing you. It's a taut, uncomfortable feeling. You chafe at it briefly before Camille returns. A tall, thin mirror rolls into sight, balanced on smoothly oiled wheels. Camille hastily brushes it free of dust, dragging a paint-stained rag across the silvered glass. There's the briefest shiver of hesitation in them before they turn to let you look. Your reflection glints into view, and the room swims out of focus in return. A dizzying weight threatens to pull you down the wall. Is this what it's like for them? To have the breath to be breathless? to feel dread like hand on your vertebrae holding tight? Could you humor me for but a moment, dear? Could you tell me what you see? Please. Shown in your reflection is a portrait of an older woman draped in fine clothes. Looking at her rose-touched cheek, you feel the chill receding from the hollow of your throat. Silk clings to her the way a timid lover might, or perhaps it's chiffon or satin. You still have no sense of touch, but you can imagine seeing the pearlescent hues that describe every fold. Wisps of rusty color curl just beneath your ear. Each stroke is feather light. We could start with your hair. Yes? What color is it? We can go with auburn, copper, bronze, or umber. Let's go with auburn. Yes, oh. When the sunlight was on it, you glowed. Auburn, yes. And your eyes? Prussian green, cadmium green, cobalt green, or viridian. Let's go with Prussian green. A little too much blue, dear. What's around your neck there? You see it? You do see it. Strands of delicate gold coil loosely around your collar, carrying 3 bell-shaped flowers. Okay, this was your anniversary gift to me. This was your wedding gift to me. This is a harmless trinket. This is a family heirloom. We'll say this is an anniversary gift. No, but, well, we've had plenty of anniversaries, so yes, in a way. Sometimes it feels like I've known you longer than I've known myself. Is that a bit absurd to say? In any case, this necklace was the last gift I was able to give you before. Camille sinks into contemplation, or memory, perhaps. Your gaze flows unbidden to the mirror once more, where her smile sits waiting for you. It's the barest thing, rendered so faintly that perhaps the artist didn't even know it be there when they lifted the brush. It sits in the corner of her lips like a promise, or like a bent needle stuck in her skin. The look on your face. I look happy. I look lonely. I look lost. I look trapped. I look happy. Oh, I'm very glad to hear you think so. I hesitate to compliment myself, but I do think I rendered that very well. So many things in life brought you joy, none so much as teasing me and anyone else when you found the opportunity. But this is simply the way you looked at me most often. Tresor, forgive me for asking. But why are you here? Because you called me to you? Because I wanted to be here for you, Camille? We'll go with the latter option. Camille's eyes widen. In another second, tears threaten to spill. That means much more to me than you could fathom. Tresor, oh, Etienne. Camille leans timidly forward, as if a blushing teen. Whatever thoughtful precipice they stand on, as they stare at you. They startle back soon enough, as as the sound of a doorbell clatters through the house. Ah. They hurry away at once, striding quickly through the studio's doorway. An ugly sting pierces you at being so suddenly ignored. And then it is quiet, but for the distant echoes, faltering footsteps, the click and creak of a door. After a small age, footsteps again and a pair of voices. Really ought to tell me these things instead of making me come all the way here. I apologize, but I'll send them to you soon. I'm already here. Camille, I'll take them with me. Ah, yes. But that isn't quite what I've said, Adela. I like you, Camille. I do. Working with you is like taming rabbits, I hope you know. I spend more time coaxing you out of your studio than I do anything else. But now you talk back to me. A fascination, truly. To have such nerve, whatever on earth could be bothering you so? An unfamiliar shadow darkens the studio's doorway as Camille's visitor steps in. Patterned marigold of her shawl is what calls your attention first. At this distance, you cannot make out her face, but your unintentional eavesdropping has told you her name is Adela. Beautiful as ever, isn't she? Of course she is. Anyone who met her. Yes, you've extolled her graces on multiple occasions. I remember just fine. And still, every time you painted her, she would complain you made her look younger than her age. It was just how I saw her. And she would always sit for me, so... Yes, because that let her spend more time with you, silly thing. You removed the shroud? Last I recall, you said she wasn't ready. I felt it was time. Wonderful. Then she'll have her name back, won't she? Her? No. I never said she didn't have her name. So that's why the little label under her frame is empty, You know what I mean. Frankly, I don't. I've been forced to sell every other portrait of her without a name, have I not? Unnamed portrait number 46. Unnamed portrait number 47. The critics pull their hair out writing about them, you know? Call her Etienne already, for God's sake. And then maybe she'll answer you for once. No, you haven't forgotten her. She already does. Adela's delicate tirade stops then as Camille draws themselves up, teeth digging uncertainly into her lip. She does she? Adela turns to you. You cannot see her face, but she can see yours. Suddenly, you have the desperate need to close your eyes, perhaps, to hide. Like an insect pinned on a board, you begin willing limbs you do not have to take away from her scrutiny. Then I suppose congratulations are in order. We can go with, Camille, what is she talking about? Can you tell me who Etienne is? Don't come any closer to me, Camille. Do something. Do you know who I am? Are there other paintings like me? Or we can stay silent. Let's go with the second option. I was expecting her to greet me. She did. She asked you a question. Did she? I couldn't hear her. What a shame. I'd expected her to be more herself. What do you mean? Well, Etienne was always so lovely to talk to. Not as lovely as my Dorada, of course, but lovely all the same, or talkative at least. Maybe there's just not enough of her in there yet. No matter, it's nothing time can't fix. There's nothing to fix. Don't say perfect, Camille. Artists aren't allowed to use that word. Shall I keep the final space in the gallery open for her? No. Oh, Camille, so easy to tease. Speaking of time, however, I'll have to get going. But I'll take those paintings with me if you have them. They're over here in the corner. With a click of her heel, Adela turns away, and a sigh of relief warms uncomfortably behind your sealed lips. Camille goes with her, glancing reluctantly over their shoulder at you. Out of sight, they sift through what must be a stack of canvases, while Adela either hums approval or clicks her tongue no. Will that be enough? For the next exhibition, yes. But this last one, you keep it. It doesn't look finished. I'll come back later to pick out a final piece. You have until then, yes? Maybe that newest canvas of yours will make the cut. Do apply yourself. Oh, and Etienne, I hope we'll speak another time. And she's gone, as briskly as she came. In the hush that replaces her, Camille gnaws the edge of one finger, their eyes not quite finding yours. I'm sorry for her. She really is, well, Adela is always... She's always been a bit difficult for me to work with, but that's just how she is. I'm sorry, I should have warned you that she was coming. Exhibitions come so quickly these days. I can barely keep track. Are you alright, my dear? Why could she not hear me? What was she talking about? Gallery? Exhibition? Are you going to give me away too? I'm just a painting, Camille. I'm fine. I'm disappointed you let her interrupt us. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. Let's go with the first option. I don't know either. Today is the first time I've heard you speak. So, you might be a little weak, having just woken up, unless... No. Were you speaking to me before today? Have I been ignoring you? It would take me apart if I have. But we'll figure it out. I'm sure. Now, you're... Okay, I suppose we can go through all of the options. Etienne, I am asking how you are feeling. Are you ignoring me? I am. I'm trying to make sure you are. Okay, and instead you fixate on everything else. You haven't fully explained anything to me. I will, dearest. I hoped you'd understand that asking how you are feeling is a part of that, but I don't mean to sound so frustrated with you. Just give me a little grace, a little time. I've only just gotten you back. Okay, Etienne? So it seems that if we go with this option, we may be able to pivot the entire plot. If we go with this option, then the story remains as a romance. I guess for the most part we're here for the horror aspect, so let's go with this option. Calling you what? Your name? But that is your name. What else am I to call you? I haven't named any of my other paintings in too long. You used to help me find the words for it, and Adela won't name any of them for me. The critics have been assuming I've chosen to wallow by refusing to speak your name again. But you understand, can't just give your name away like it's cheap. It is anything but that. It's yours. Yours alone. Etienne. Etienne, I'm sorry. Oh, but just once more. Etienne, I'm very glad you came back. Okay, so we can go with, of course, I'm Etienne and you are my Camille. If that's who you want me to be, then yes, I am. But I'm not sure if I'm really her. Or, no, that's not my name. You're wrong. We're going for more of a horror ending, so let's go with this. That hurt me. I won't hear it again. But if you insist, I will be patient until you remember. I will call you Tresor in the meantime, your favorite endearment for me. Just for a while until... Camille brings their hands gently at first, but each twist harsher until their knuckles whiten. It's a shame I missed the morning light in the garden. I wanted to paint you again, but with everything that's happened. Sunset, perhaps, the golden hour. I could leave the window open, but there's no rush. I have time. I could stay in tonight. Would you like that? You used to say we had too much to do, and all the time in the world to try. I rather feel the opposite nowadays. I'd like to not waste another moment with you if I can help it. But tomorrow, what tomorrow would bring? Another morning with you, finally. I can't wait. A needle rides along the groove of an old record, spinning on its player in the far corner of the room. You listen to the slow rise and fall of a singular melody. Camille hums along as they dutifully attend to another canvas. Each scrape of their palette knife is another glossy streak of color, dancing at the uttermost boundary of your vision. Idly, you've noted perhaps 100 careful strokes of paint. It's been a quiet morning so far, aside from Camille's constant murmuring. Oh, and that musician, the way your sister would blush looking at him. They pause, laughing quietly into a loosely curled fist. Instinct, or is it something else, makes your mouth twitch, attempting to smile in turn. He never noticed, did he? Not after the first show in May. Or the ones in winter. You remember, your sister asked us to go to every concert that season, and we listened to the same songs over and over. And after, we'd meet the musicians backstage, and he never caught on. Not until you told him what was it? They pause, tapping a finger thoughtfully to their glasses. The motion puts a smear of indigo on one lens, but they pay little mind. Yes, that he had an ear for melody but no eyes for pretty woman. Then it was his turn to blush. Humor tints their cheeks with rose madder, warming their complexion. Oh, it made all the repeat performances worthwhile. Concert after concert. Camille, your glasses. Oh. They slipped the slender frames from their face, inspecting the lenses while they tug at the cleanest corner of their apron. Better concerts than other noisier pursuits, I suppose. They really weren't that bad. And then we heard the same song in the street when we were in Celle Ligure. You took my hands and made me dance with you. Glancing down, they clicked their tongue with mild exasperation. they've only smeared the paint more. As they step away to try again, you let a question slip out. What song was it? You know what song, dear? I'm having some trouble remembering it. I just wanted to hear you hum it, that's all. No, Camille, because I wasn't there. Okay, we are here to wreak havoc, so let's go with this option. What? No, of course you were. I would know. We were. No, you might have just gotten yourself confused. We've gone on a great many trips and we did always go dancing and, well, I had 2 feet left, but They cleared their throat uncomfortably, still standing out of sight. Faintly, you hear the sound of a tap running as they clean themselves up. I don't care much for this joke. It feels a bit insensitive, even for your sense of humor. I know I tell the story a lot. You're probably tired of hearing it. Okay, we can go with tell me more, please. Maybe that will help. No, Camille, you're not listening to me. Okay, let's go with the second option. Oh, you. Of course, that's right. You had quite a bit to drink while we were there, didn't you? Aha, you always complain about how much you liked the drinks there more, and how you couldn't get anything similar here. You even threatened to move, forgo the store and my career in favor of a lovely sea breeze. You'll remember that. Of course, you said it so often. I was so sure I'd wake up one day and you'd have packed our bags and sold our house. You remember, don't you? We joked that we could fumble our way through the native language. French and Italian have the same roots. So you'd always... Oh, this is where you're supposed to. There's a sudden hollow clatter as they toss something abruptly down. You can't see it, but from the sound, it's fallen into the sink, clanging awkwardly on the stainless steel. 2 beats pass before Camille breathes in with a long rattle of the metal chain on the sink's edge. They retrieve what must be their glasses. I apologize for that. Usually, that was where you take over telling the story. I can never tell the end as well as you do. So, why didn't you? They trail off unhappily, brows knitting as they hold their unerring gaze. I tried to tell you, I'm not in those memories. You're simply having trouble focusing. What was the last thing you gave me? Pardon? Humor me for but a moment. What was the last thing you gave me? Fine, it was... We definitely don't want to reciprocate with a ring. A kiss? Definitely not a brush. A book seems like the most unlikely gift, and this might upset Camille, so let's go with this. No, not that. And what was the last thing you said to me? To be happy? To take care of yourself? To do what feels right? To die with her? Let's say to die with her. Would you excuse me? I just need... I need a bit of air. They rush to leave, clumsily lifting the needle off the record as they go. There's an ungainly scrape, the thud of the door, and then silence. For the first time in quite a while, you're alone. Ever since you started speaking, Camille has found every excuse to be in the studio. It's where they paint, of course, but recently they've been taking breaks in here, too. Or if they do leave, they're back within minutes, claiming they've forgotten something. This isn't like all the other times. As the seconds turn to minutes, and the minutes turn to hours, it's clear that they won't be back anytime soon. They want much more from you than you can give them. Everything they say about her, about Etienne, gives you the impression that they are reaching, blindly, into a new moon sky. You hold a little illusion regarding what you are. Whatever Camille is looking for, you simply do not possess it. They're doing their best to ignore that fact, but hanging alone on the wall, you're forced to wonder exactly how long you'll have to endure this willful ignorance. It's for the best. They keep trying to make you be someone you aren't. Afternoon slinks in, hazy and warm, through the window's colorful panes. Dust motes spin slowly on the studio's empty air, while you watch unblinkingly from the wall. Easel, canvas, paints, it all sits untouched. With Camille gone for the day, you take in the trappings of the place where they've created all their works. How many hours have they spent in this place, alone? Did Etienne spend time here too? You don't know if Camille would answer that. After all, for them, she's still here. You are a comfort to them, no matter what you say. But if they painted you, if Camille created you, what does that mean for the words that come from your closed mouth? The thud of a door reverberates through the house. Even hidden in the studio as you are, you can feel the slightest tremor, which shakes you free of your false slumber. A few quiet days have passed. Camille's been painting, but the mood in the studio has been subdued as of late. Perhaps the doors slamming open one by one signal an end to that phase. Going to tolerate. End of land. Camille is moving quickly today, and they're not alone. With a clatter, the studio's doors open, and Camille steps in, looking frustrated. They have the time to give you a hesitant glance before someone else storms in after them. Leaving until you hear me out, at last. For Christ's sake, Camille, I should hope you don't entertain all your guests in this way. I don't bring guests into my studio, Pascal. Camille's tone is sharp-edged in a way you're unfamiliar with. They grip their arms to themselves, retreating toward the center of the room. The newcomer follows, not quite close enough to hound them, but intently enough to dog their steps. As he comes closer, you note the way his cheekbones and the color of his hair match Camille's. Those eyes are paler in his expression, much too grim for a simple reunion. A relative, obviously, but not a particularly well-loved one. I'm aware I don't qualify as a guest in your home, Camille. Oh, good. Then you'll leave? Not until you tell me you'll come with us. I'm not leaving home. I'm not leaving. It won't be forever. It'll hardly even be a week. A few days out of town. Is that so hard for you? It's long past time for you to what? I don't know. Rejoin society? I go to the gallery sometimes. Real society, People, Camille. Not those vapid hangers-on that cling to you like children. Did you call that doctor I recommended? He wouldn't understand. That wasn't the question I asked. Did you call him? You can't get better at this unless you want to. I know you know that. I work in here. I'm not. You make me sound like a child hiding at home. Well, you haven't shown me much evidence to the contrary. We can remain silent? How dare you speak to them that way? He doesn't know anything about us? Please listen to him. He's trying to help you. He's trying to hurt your feelings. Don't listen. Let's remain silent. Camille runs a hand messily through their hair, breathing out far too slowly. Camille, I know you are hurt in a way I will never understand, but I also know you are doing nothing to change that. You are. Do you read about yourself in the papers? Do you enjoy profiting off her death? This is not what I'm doing. Then why do you paint her this way? So, Christ, look at all these paintings. She looks the same. Every single exhibition you've been part of since her passing, you keep submitting the same portraits of her, and you keep letting people buy them. I'm not one of those critics, Camille. I knew her too, and I don't see her here. You never knew her the way I did. No? I have eyes. Why is her hair so red in this? She stopped dyeing it years before the end. She was never embarrassed of it, the way you seem to be. That's just how I chose to. In this blue you paint her in, canvas after canvas of a single dress. You kept all of her clothes. You know blue wasn't even one of her favorite colors. No, it was. It suited her. She wore it plenty of times. To make you happy. To match your clothes. She didn't even like sitting for these paintings. Not sober, at least. She did. She loved them, and she loved you, Camille. I'm not trying to say otherwise. Can't you see that? You're so blind when it comes to her. So hung up on the wrong things. On impressing her, your own wife. Always painting her, asking her to sit still, giving her what you thought would make her happy. All you had to do was... She was happy with me. It wasn't wrong of her to like receiving gifts, and I liked giving them to her. You don't understand. You won't understand. It's not... What's this necklace you keep painting her in then? I don't recognize it. I don't need you to know what it is. It's hers. I saved for months. I wanted her to have it. Even if it was a gift. I'm not going to listen while you lie to me about her. About Etienne, Pascal. Oh, enough of this. Don't you hear yourself? You've always been the dreary type, and I don't resent you for that. God knows I do a better job enduring your moods than the rest of the family. But this is... You're not even grieving anymore. You're... Think very carefully about finishing that sentence. Don't interrupt me. Everyone else may be scared to say it to you, but I'm not. That thing on the wall, that's not grief. That's stubbornness. You're afraid of outliving her. You haven't even painted her wedding ring. That is enough. A small, heavy object. Perhaps it's a small table clock. Or it's a can of solvents. Flits across your vision before it smashes into the wall opposite. It crunches dully into the wall, then clangs to the floor in a discordant mess of separating parts. Something metal, or glass perhaps, skitters in a dozen tiny pieces across the wooden boards. Pascal steps back, paling. There's fear on his face for but a moment, before it transmutes to anger. What is wrong with you, Camille? I'm trying to... Enough. You're not trying anything. I didn't ask you to. I don't want you here. I don't want you to say anything else. A second cacophonous crash as Camille's hand slams through a mess of supplies. Brushes, palettes, paints, they all go flying. A slash of color crosses your vision. You feel it drip, cloying down over your oil paint cheek. No more meddling, Pascal. Just leave us alone. Their chest heaves as they stand across from him. Fury roosts high and sullen on their cheeks. Pascal stands firm, and yet his hands hang limply at his sides. Fine. I'm done trying. If I'm ever back in this house, it will be because you've asked me to be. If that means I never see you alive again. He balks and he bites down. He leaves, heavy footsteps retreating down the hall, the sonorous slam of the front door behind him. Camille stays, staring grimly into a corner. Anger brims in them like wine on a goblet's lip. It takes until they swallow, throat bobbing uncomfortably, for the wave cresting in their eyes to die back. What did you think of what he said? So the first option that we have was what he said about Etienne true? Are you leaving? I don't want to be alone. He's a lying fool. Not a word he said was true. He wasn't very nice, but he did have a point. I guess, if we're trying to induce a horrific ending, this would be the correct choice, because this would definitely have him fuming, but we would also be saving him, rather than pretending to be something that we aren't. After all, we are just a painting, so let's go with this option. Oh, is it your turn now? Go on, then. Well, tell me what I did wrong. You've never hesitated to do so before. I know you're just waiting to have your say, so you... Or are you just going to stand there like... Recognition flickers across their expression when they finally look at you. I've gotten paint on you. I have to... We have to... Where's that solvent? No, it's... I'll get a clean brush. Let me... I should have known better. I wouldn't have done this if he hadn't. It's okay, Camille. I'm still here. I'm alright. Control yourself. Or can't you even do that? Calm down, Camille. You don't have to clean paint. It's just paint, Camille. It all is. Let's go with this option. No. I can fix this. I can. I'm so sorry. Are you happy like this? Happy? Do you think this makes me happy, Camille? No, but there's no other way. I can't. Slowly, Camille's shaking stops. They stand bitterly, quietly still as inevitable admission takes hold. Paint-stained fingers dig into thin arms as if holding seams together, preventing the sorrow inside from escaping. I know you are dead, my love. But that's why I need you to just... If you could just be who I... But I'm not. You know I'm not. And you know she is gone. Yes. I do know. I spend every waking minute wishing she wasn't. So how could I not know? From the moment I opened my eyes, See the morning without her. Another day in an empty house. I don't know what I wanted. Don't know what I'm sorry. I'll excuse myself. No, don't. They whirl in all, but throw themselves out of the room. Heedless, they disappear through the doors, leaving them wide open, leaving you behind. Sunlight weeps quietly from the windowsill, spilling over the edges of smaller, less precious paintings. The warmth is too far away, and so the paint on your cheek is at no risk of drying. It sits dark and damp on the canvas, giving you a point to focus on as time crawls by. Is this truly all you are made of? Or are you the layers underneath the canvas, smothered by the very hues that adorn it? There's no one to tell you the answer. You can only ponder. It's evening by the time Camille reappears in the doorway. Tresor, I'm back. They hesitate, lingering at the very edge of your vision. For the very first time in your short memory, Camille seems afraid to approach you. Welcome back, come closer. I'm sorry too, Camille. Go on, then. Explain yourself. Or remain silent. Let's remain silent. I'm going to come closer, alright? Their hand slips nervously from the door, and haltingly they come to you. Tear stains still mark their skin. Is it the time spent apart? Suddenly Camille seems pale, weary. You don't look well. I will be. I'll admit I am easily tired these days. Too many nights spent staring at the ceiling, waiting for sleep to come. You should rest. It's not good for you if... You trail off, unsure how much of your advice they'll tolerate, but Camille only nods slowly, reluctantly too, but agreeably in the end. It's easier said than done. I haven't slept well since... well... First, I wanted to undo my earlier mistake. Nervously, they pull a slender paintbrush from a pocket, removing the dampened cloth that wraps it. They speak in hesitant tones as they reach to dab the stain from your canvas. I'm so sorry. This is the last thing I'd ever want to happen. Oh, thank God. I wasn't too late. The paint's not dried at all. That's good. If it had stained your clothes or... This, he provoked me. Pascal. I hate when he visits. He always... No, I know I'm making excuses. I did this. This is my fault. I lost my temper. That I don't like doing that. I haven't been angry like that since... Oh. Slowly, they lower their hand, the brush forgotten. Is it relief or exhaustion that weights their movements so? They stand as if floating over the depths of the sea. Etienne, I think... God help me. I think I'm going insane without you. You'd look away if you could. Afford them at least the privacy of a truly empty room. The best you can do is nothing. You hang on the wall, lips sealed. Please say something, anything. The head tips down, and a long, low sigh leaves them. I can't do this alone. I can't go on like this, feeling so unspeakably lonely. Bitter misgivings pool in your well, would be your stomach, if you had one. They can't ask this of you, and yet it feels from their mouth like a jewel, glinting treacherous desire as it falls to the studio floor. Your gaze drifts past their bowed shoulders. The arched window is dark tonight, but neither moon nor sun could touch you anyway, no matter the hour. Camille took pains to hide you from everything, from light, from heat, from prying eyes. You look to the doors which stand ajar across the room. There's an entire world out there. You're not sure you'll ever see it unless Camille lets you go. But when you look down, Camille has slipped down to the floor, slumped in an ungainly pile. They've fallen asleep? Or perhaps they were half asleep already, stumbling in on the tug of bared heartache alone. Certainly they looked to you as they spoke, but you can't help but linger on how lightless their eyes had been. We'll talk later, Camille. I promise. There's no answer. You wait, but sleep, or your facsimile of it, doesn't come. Most nights you do fade into an undefined haze, your senses dulling until the studio slips from your awareness like a scrap of silk. Tonight you are a portrait on the wall, with no eyelids to shut. With nothing else to do, you set your sights on the only room you've ever known, seeking something, anything, a distraction. You look around. There are so many other paintings in this room. Paint supplies are scattered all over the place. Something's fallen out of Camille's pocket. Let's go with this option. Barely visible in your periphery, Camille's slumbering body uncurls just so, allowing a glint of something on a thin chain to slip free. It clacks gently to the floorboards, catching a thread of moonlight, a pocket watch made of polished rose gold. Your senses lurch uncomfortably toward it, as if dragged closer by an insistent hand. Camille shifts once more, and the watch taps on the floor, clicking open. You feel the words inscribed on the inner lid as if they're traced across your own back. From your Etienne. Another morning. It's a familiar scene. The same music spins sedately under the needle, and Camille sways to the melody whenever they need to retrieve supplies from the corner. Today, the air is easier for them to breathe. No uninvited guests, with all their inconveniences. The studio is its own encapsulated world, the doors firmly shut. Camille has been working at their easel since dawn. The end of their brush taps woodenly to their palette every so often, as they lean back and regard their progress with fond, unfocused eyes. Their movements are deliberate in their simplicity. When they happen to look at you out of the corner of their eye, they smile, but it's a wan thing, barely curving their tired mouth. They're not truly here. They're thinking about something else. This is certainly the quietest session we've had. Usually, I'd have to ask you so nicely to just sit still, to save all your praise for later. Were you talking to me? Yes. Not that it matters much to you. The next sigh is sugared with spite. The canvas creaks as you involuntarily try to look away. Camille, please, let's not. Fine. Just answer one question for me. Will you do that much? Do you remember what happened when we found out you were dying? What? Camille sounds almost distracted while they balance their palette on the empty stool nearby. They haven't turned to look at you yet. Instead, they look at the canvases scattered at the far end of the room. Just this morning, they pulled painting after painting across the floor, checking and rechecking details with quiet, musing intent. Their eyes listlessly on one of those paintings now as they wait for you to answer. Apprehension stirs in your gut once you see how their smile has thinned. I just want to check. You do remember, don't you? If you are who you say you are. But I'm not. No, you are. If you won't believe yourself, believe me. It can be anything, whatever comes to mind, as long as it's about the end. What are you trying to accomplish with this, Camille? I'm not her. I never have been. You say the strangest things sometimes. No, Camille, I'm not doing this. I'm sorry. I can't be what you're looking for. That's all I can say. I see. Camille stands, tugging the ties of the apron loose. Stiff fabric slews free, but not before they slip something glinting in silver from the pocket. Without even intending it, you pull backward. The wooden frame that encases you rattles once on the wall, before Camille reaches out with a free hand to hold you still. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It's my fault, after all. I'm the one who painted you. You falter and go silent, feeling uncomfortably cold as Camille's eyes move slowly up then down your canvas. Their gaze fixes on a point right at the hollow of your throat. I thought since you were the first portrait I did, be the most suitable, but I must have done something wrong. That's alright, I can fix it. I just have to find the problem first. This is the good thing about oil paints, yes? I can always scrape the canvas clean. What are you? Softly, Camille presses the dull edge of a clean palette knife to you, where a painted shadow pools in your clavicle. You are in danger. We can say, don't touch me, get away from me. Please leave me alone. No, help me somebody. If you touch me, I'll scream, Camille. Despite our choices right now, I have to admit, none of them seem like very great options. These two seem very almost neutral, so let's go with something that will disgust Camille. If you touch me, I'll scream. Shh, shh. The blade slides into you, bringing with it an ice water film of biting numbness, of that same nothingness that filled you the night you woke up. They flex their wrist, making sure the dull edge has purchase, and then they carve a strip of layered paint free. I have to know. Wouldn't you rather know too? Okay, we can go with Camille, you're hurting me? Are you insane? What are you doing? I'm sorry for lying. Let's say, are you insane? What are you doing? You have no skin, no muscle, no bone. Every layer Camille scrapes free is another cry sent falling down the empty well of your consciousness, a reminder that you are paint and nothing more. Camille looks through you while they flay you from the center outward. Always one for theatrics, my Etienne. Thank you for fulfilling that, at the least. Camille, please stop. Hush, I will. Just as soon as I find out what went wrong. Ah, there's some primer now. And look, my sketch. It's been years since I've seen it. They pause then, and the knife turns in their grip, rotating so they can brush the pad of a finger harmlessly against what they found. It's meant to be intimate. I'm sorry to say, dear, that I see nothing wrong with your insides. But think of it this way. With a flick, another thread of you unravels, falling to the floor in a ribbon of cracking pigment. If you're in pain, if you're scared right now, why, that's all I need to know you're truly in there. It's better than nothing, isn't it? Anything is better than nothing. Ah, but if I'm to repair you after, will I need to use solvents? That would be a shame. Wouldn't want to undo some of this brushwork. Well, what I haven't cut up yet. I'll find some other way, don't worry. They step back, idly cleaning the knife on their sleeve. Slashes of paint crumble at a touch, flecking them with rust, with what pulp they've made of you. I know, dear. I wish I hadn't had to do that. But I did have to. Now I know it's merely cosmetic. This failure that I've given you. I did do some of it right. This tendency to lie. The coyness of it. I just have to give you the rest back. Then you'll remember. Hanging on the wall in tatters, you resist in the only way left to you, by straining to look anywhere but at them. You rake the studio from corner to corner, until you land on the canvases abandoned on the floor. Every single one of her, every single one unfinished. No, unfinished. You look closer. Slashes, rips, tears, smears of solvents, strips of missing canvas, dark holes for eyes, every pair torn out by a frantic hand. I'll get it right this time, the last time, truly. I have all the pieces here already. Someone is knocking at the door. The sound echoes, bouncing in the hallways and through doors left messily ajar. Camille pays no mind. Dense tubes of paint clatter callously to the floor as they toss unsatisfactory colors over their shoulder. By the time they click a knife open to tear a chosen tube, the displeased clack of a heel resounds on the threshold. Camille, do you know how long I was? Oh, you're busy, I see. At the door, Adela's silhouette lifts a fine boned hand to her mouth. After so many days spent in silence, her stifled chuckle is flint on steel, setting sparks to the studio's stale air. I suppose I've been wrong to worry that you wouldn't have anything ready. What have you been doing here, Madame Vidal? It didn't work. Everything you told me to do, it didn't work. That thing was not Etienne. And? Is that why you have her covered up again? I had to. I'm making her better again. You can't see her again until we're ready. You gave me such poor instructions for helping her. Anyway, Mind your tone, darling. No need to be accusatory. What have I done to earn such animosity, when it was my suggestion that you try all of this in the first place? That was impolite of me. I apologize. Thank you. You seem well on your way to fixing things yourself, anyhow. Her head turns and she gives the studio a slow glance from corner to corner. Even through a layer of black silk, it's easy to tell what she lingers on. Palette, knives, and scrapers. Abandoned amidst chips of dried paint, scraps of torn canvas, shards of shattered wooden frames. What is that on your table? Her old embroidery kit? I needed it. The threads, I needed them to match the colors for when my. And so the famed portraitist moves into a new medium. I won't ask anything else. You've piqued my interest. But, dear Camille, what of that final exhibition piece you owe me? Etienne? They both pause, one listening for a reply, the other waiting with sweetly bated breath. She'll come. I'll bring her. I need a little more time. I need to make sure she is perfect. She demands perfection. If I were any less gracious, I would say no. You ask for favors so rudely. I'm a woman on a schedule, you know. But I'll allow it, only because you've said be there yourself. Another week and no more than that. She leaves, sweeping through the door as quickly as she came. Camille slumps, exhausted. It lasts a moment before they struggle haltingly, inexorably, to their feet. Week. I can make it. I found them all already in the other canvases. I just have to put them back where they belong. Shadows dance across the gallery's polished floor. The air is full of hushed, murmuring voices. The room feels cold to your cold. Someone taps a fingernail nervously on a glass as they hover close with a smile. Slowly and eager, fawning voice slips through the monotony. Relations again, madam. It's a lovely exhibition. Yes, of course. Thank you. I hope you don't mind. I wanted to ask the name of the show. Was that your idea? What do you think, dear? Pardon? What? I suppose in a way we both had the same idea. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry, I don't quite understand. Camille, there you are. You're not spoiling the surprise too early, are you? Oh, no. I was just asking about, well, Madame Fidel never named any of their previous works, so I was... yes, well, we rather thought we'd set up a new tone for future shows, starting with this one. Does that help? So it was your idea as well. That makes sense. Thank you. I'll take another lap around, see all the paintings again. You really must try a little tact at the very least. Must I cover for you every time your darling bends your ear? I'm being impatient, I know. I want people to meet her. Already, it's a rare outing for us, that's all. Camille puts a hand delicately on the silken shroud, as if to soothe. The rictus of stitch lines underneath trembles once, and they pull away. The unveiling, is it time? Adela, can you... Attention everyone, your attention, if you please. Heads turn one by one. The artists will now be speaking about their final painting, Madame Vidal. Camille steps back, away from the crowd, backward until their shoulders nestle against the wooden frame, newly carved by their own hands. This is, well, thank you for being here today. The exhibition today is named for Etienne, my beloved. Lovely Camille, dear frightened Camille, standing so bravely and so alone. You'd abandon them in a heartbeat if only you could. She was very unwell for a long time, but this is my best, my final rendition of her, as she was in her prime. Etienne. The shroud rustles and falls, pulling on the floor one more time. From every throat present, a gasp of admiration or of horror. Harsh gallery light falls in a blinding cascade. The silence hovers, torture's prelude. Then, with a collective shudder, the crowd breaks into adulation. This must be the one. Rumors were right all. Madame, how did you achieve this? Different pieces? Is this your last? All stitched together like... Tell us about her? Etienne? Etienne? Your name on every mouth, your reflection in every eye. Etienne, Etienne, Etienne. Etienne, Etienne, Etienne. Ending 3. Etienne. That is very unsettling. I suppose if we went for a more romantic ending, the painting would have turned out a little bit more lovely, but I am completely fine with this one. I suppose the message is about dealing with grief, coping with the loss. It's a really tragic story, and one can really see how this can drive a person insane. I really enjoyed the artwork and the dialogue, and I hope you guys did too. Right guys, I hope you enjoyed this visual novel, That Which Surrounds. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. I'll leave a link to the game in the description. Other than that, take it easy.